Welcome everybody, and this is the first lecture of your CMA Inter Paper 7 Direct and Indirect Tax lectures. So, in this first part, I'll give complete clarity to you what would be the way forward, what you have to expect, and what you have to do, and how our preparation will go together. Ultimately, first thing to say, Group 1 has 4 papers, right? And in that, paper 7 direct tax and indirect tax. Now to say it is single paper, paper 7 100 marks, but it is equal to 2 subjects. Direct tax is an independently a complete subject, 19 units are there. Indirect tax again has around 16 units. So totally it is equal to 2 subjects. So you have to put double the efforts which you put for any other subject. So this should be clear in your mind. Now, is it easy or difficult? The answer, it all depends how you approach the subject. And you have taken my classes. It will become easy, simple, but only thing which I want from you is 100% focus and complete dedication while listening to the lectures and following the process what I am going to teach. Now sir, along with these lectures, what I will get is your question. Along with these lectures, you can listen these lectures through Google Drive or through mobile application, it's your choice. But along with this lecture, you will get updated books. Now you should be aware that for exams in June December 2024, especially I am talking only about June now, okay, for June 2024 exams, all amendments, whatever changes in the tax laws are there, whether it is in direct tax, whether it is in indirect tax, till 30th November 2023. So all amendments till 30th November 2023 are applicable for your exams. So sir, whatever books you are giving, are they updated till 30th November 2023? The answer is absolutely yes. So all notes you will be getting will be updated as per the amendments till 30th November 2023. Now next question comes. Sir, many times we listen to lectures, but CA classes are there, so CA teachers teach all CA problems and then ask CMA students to write the exams. Sometimes I feel this is unfair on CMA students. But don't worry. With me, when you are taking the course, be assured that all CMA study material problems will be solved in the class. All the past RTPs, MTPs, right, model test papers, everything based on its importance. Like same question may be repeated 5 times in exam. So I'll not give 5 times, right? Same question by slightly changing the numbers may be given. So I have skipped all such things. Only things which are new, unique in your study material, in your RTP, MTP, right? Practice test papers, model test papers, all will be covered in our course curriculum, right? And unnecessary repetitions are cut down. So that hard work which you have to put to find all these different documents comes to an end with our classes. So properly updated books, properly updated lectures will be given to you. And any doubts are there, you always WhatsApp me, I clarify the doubts. Some person is my student or not, my number is there in the description. Simply send a doubt on taxation subject. I will be very happy to answer. That's what I believe in. Every student should have the privilege to gain that knowledge, and at least doubt clarification I give 100% student support to each and every student. Okay, right. So hope you understood everything. Now many students ask, sir, which books to maintain? Sir, will the books be delivered to my home? Yes, books will be physically delivered to your doorstep. Sir, what notes we should maintain? At least 600 pages you should write throughout the classes, throughout your practice. So whether it is 200-page notebook, keep 3 books. Whether it is 300-page book, then keep 2 books. Like this you should maintain the books. But please remember, your book should be ruled notebook, long ruled notebook, and use black pen to write all things, because you should be habituated to writing for final exams, and black is the most preferred one. Okay, so now notes is clear, pen is clear, textbooks are clear, video lectures you got full clarity. Some people may also have doubt, views, unlimited views, no limitation, right? So there is no limitation, no issue, 1.5 view, 1.75 view, 2 views, 3 views, nothing as such. You can listen any number of times on a single device. So that's what goes on with our classes. So let's dive into the subject, because all doubts I feel are cleared. If you have further doubts, you can simply WhatsApp me on my number, right, which is given in the description obviously. Now, what is our subject? CMA Inter paper 7, direct tax and indirect tax. So I already said these are two different subjects. So let's start with the direct tax. Now, if I tell direct tax is the toughest subject, what will you say? Sir, डरा रहे हो? Albert Einstein says the same, that taxation is the toughest subject to understand for him. The most intellectual person in the world is saying that the taxation subject is difficult for him to understand. Maybe he don't like it, but you will like this subject, because I will explain taxation with simple practical examples. You will not only learn from your exam perspective, but you will learn how to do tax planning when you are doing a job, how to do tax planning if you are into business. All that you will be understanding in our lectures. And CMA Institute has a very bad habit. Frankly, whatever it is, I should tell that they don't give any questions on amendments, but they don't hesitate to ask questions on amendments. But I am here for you, right? So I will be covering all amendment based questions also, which are either created by me or adopted from other sources, but I'll give everything to you in our material itself, right? So Albert Einstein says it is difficult, but for you it will become easy. Only thing, you have to give time, you have to put all focus without any deviations and complete discipline, and you are going to get above 80 marks easily if you give 100% dedication, right? 60 is a cakewalk if you concentrate on whatever I say. देखो यार, I'll tell you the study material pattern, sorry, exam pattern, before I go to next topic. Okay, exam pattern is very simple: 50 marks direct tax, 50 marks indirect tax. Now when 50 marks direct tax, 50 marks indirect tax, 14 marks will be MCQs indirect tax, and balance 28 numericals or descriptive. Similarly, in indirect tax, 14 marks will be MCQs, fill in the blanks, and balance, oh sorry यार 28 बोल दिया, गलती कर दिया नहीं, right, 36 marks will be your descriptive, case studies or numericals. So whether it is direct or indirect, 14 will be your numeric MCQs or fill in the blanks, simply like that, true or false, and balance 36 in each paper will be your descriptive, case study, numericals. Direct tax will be full of numerical questions. Indirect tax will be a mix of descriptive and numerical. Now, if you are good with each and every small concept, this 14 plus 14, 28 marks is a cakewalk for you, right? And think about direct tax. Direct tax, 36 marks, mostly numericals. If you solve the problem correctly, you can easily get that 36 full on full marks, right? If you solve a numerical problem correctly, full marks, that's the advantage. Now this 36 plus 28, if you target, how much it will reach to? 36 plus 28 कितना होता बोलो जरा. कितना हो गया? 64 marks, right? So that's what we have to think about. Now you may solve some less problems in direct tax, right? In exams 1 or 2 you may go wrong, but indirect tax you can solve, right? So anyhow 60 is guaranteed if you concentrate, and 80 will target. Okay, now so taxation is difficult for Albert Einstein but not for you, because I am with you. Now Chanakya Pandit says that rich people should pay tax. Now why rich people should pay tax? Think about, poor people don't have any money. Poor people are struggling for their food, their shelter. So how will they pay? But then government should also be able to manage its infrastructure, developmental project, defense, security, police, administration, everything should be managed, correct? How will government get money? So rich people should compulsorily pay tax. That's what Chanakya Pandit says. The state in which rich people don't pay tax cannot prosper. That's what Chanakya Pandit said. So, and I tell you with this point that it's correct, because ultimately somebody don't have money, he is struggling for survival, let him survive. But somebody who has lot of money, he should contribute to the nation, correct? And that's what our direct tax concept is. As you progress, as you earn more and more money, you should pay more and more taxes. That's what direct tax actually talks about, based on our Chanakya Pandit's principles. Now, when you read the history of taxation, they will say that Britishers brought taxes in 1860. Then 1886 they again brought, right? So we did not have a thought process, but Britishers brought. Chanakya hundreds of years back, right, said about taxes. Taxes were implemented in his Chandragupta kingdom. The Cholas, the Mauryas, the Guptas, even in the Ramarajya, taxes were collected from people. Think about Vedas, Upanishads, reference of taxes are there. So if somebody says that we introduce a taxation system, sorry, tell them तुम्हारे पप्पा के पप्पा पप्पा के पप्पा के पप्पा के पप्पा जब पैदा नहीं हुए थे ना, तब हमारे देश में, भारत में taxes were implemented. Chanakya's another quote I'll tell you, very nicely you will understand that collect taxes like honeybees collect honey from the flowers without troubling the other person. That's what he said. And that's why how government collect tax, how much they collect tax, which the other person don't feel burdened if he pays from his pocket. That much governments try to collect the taxes. It may be true in some sense, but it may not be true in some other sense, right? But still, that was the ideology. Now, there is Albert Bushnell. Now, he says that if you want to actually live in a civilized society, you should pay taxes. Now, compare the roads of India and suppose, what comparison we'll do with Pakistan? Yeah, sorry, right? Suppose if you want to live and enjoy your life, you want to ride your bicycle on proper roads, then that roads should be constructed. For that, money should be accumulated by the government. And how will government get money? People should pay. There should be no uh, civil riots, right? Patthar phekna, all that should not happen, right? So if civil riots and disturbances should not happen, there should be a proper police, right? Tomorrow you earn lot of money, you create such big buildings, and then tomorrow gundas come to your house and capture your house and throw you out. Is it okay? All this happen in civilized society? No, right? In civilized society, this cannot happen because police is there to protect. Civilized societies are able to protect their countries like our India is able to. So what did you understand out of this whole discussion? If you want to live in a civilized society, you are supposed to pay taxes. That's what Albert Bushnell has said. And one more thing I'll add to it. Not only paying taxes, but ensuring that the money is properly utilized. Voting to those ministers or those parties who actually will use your money judiciously and for the development of the nation. Don't vote for corrupt people even if you get certain amount of money for giving the vote. Collecting money for giving the vote is wrong. But still I am saying that don't vote corrupt people. They will destroy the entire nation. We have reached as a country from fragile 5 economy, the totally destroyed top 5 economies which will collapse. That is what fragile 5 economy is. From there we reached to a stage where we are top 5 powerful countries in the world. We are the fastest growing GDP in the world because of the ethical administration or politicians ruling our nation. And if we want to live in a civilized society like this, we have to pay taxes and ensure that the money management is in right hands by casting right votes to right persons. Right? Now, come to the next story. So let's go to the basic concepts topic. Now, we are actually into the subject. Of tax. You want roads, you want bridges, you want dams, you want proper water facility to your house, correct? You want electricity supply uninterrupted, internet, Wi-Fi, huh? Everything. So all this will happen if you pay taxes to the government. You want security, you want your borders to be protected, you want new innovations, AI technology to be developed, semiconductor chips manufacturing should happen in our country. For that, you have to pay taxes. Now, John Jim Rohns is my favorite person. With this, I will conclude. But yes, Jim Rohns says that teach little Johnny. That means small kids, you have to teach that if you want to ride your bicycle on proper roads, not on muddy roads, then while that kid, that Johnny, purchases a chocobar or candy, along with that candy, you have to pay extra 2 cents to the government for constructing such roads. Inculcate the habit of paying taxes among children. That's what Jim Rohn said. Now, I'll ask you simple question. What is tax? Now, till now, why tax we understood. Now, tell me what is tax. Tax is a compulsory contribution. Is it optional? No, it is compulsory. So, tax is a compulsory contribution which individuals or organizations make. Who will pay tax? Either individual or organization. Now, organization may be commercial organization or non-profit organization. Everybody pays tax in some form or other. So, tax is a compulsory contribution which individuals make, organizations make, right, to the government, to the government, right? This is what tax is. Now, how many types of taxes in India? Till now I was talking, now you also say. Recorded है तो क्या हुआ? Right? You should also talk, right? There are how many types of taxes in India? Two types of taxes. Come on, repeat with me. What are the two? Direct tax and second one, indirect tax. Very good. Now, what is the difference between the two? Now, in your foundation level classes, in economics, you should have understood the differences, right? So, meaning at least I feel you are clear. But now, what are the differences we should understand? Okay, shall I explain the meaning first? Let's do it. Now, direct tax means what? Direct tax is basically a tax which you pay directly to the government. So, direct tax is a tax which you as an individual or organization pay directly to the government. Now, suppose you do job, you will get salary, correct? When you get salary, you pay some part of the salary to government, correct? In the form of tax. So, from your pocket to government's pocket, correct? So, this is what direct tax. You do business, you earn profit. You give your property on rent, you earn rental income. Sometimes you may sell your properties and earn lot of capital gain income. So whatever income you earn, on that you pay tax to the government. This is called as direct tax. Now here in direct tax what happens? The burden and payment is on the same person. Now suppose you are earning income, who is liable to pay tax? You are liable to pay tax. So burden is on you, correct? And who will make the payment? Of course you will make payment. So payment also by you only. So burden and payment is on same person. Impact and incidence on the same person, right? Another terms which are used. Now come to indirect tax. Indirect tax is basically a very old form of tax from the kings. Actually indirect tax started. Suppose somebody want to do business in your country. The king was to say, okay, you do business. He came from foreign country. Let's assume from Afghanistan. He said he will come and sell some products in India. The king said, okay, but if you want to sell something, you have to pay something to me. In the olden times, they were to sell suppose rice, 100 bags of rice. King said, okay, you sell 100 bags of rice and give me 10 bags. So, in the form of barter, in the form of goods, the tax were collected. But later on, everything was converted to money. And government started collecting money in the form of tax, not the goods. Okay. Now, the businessman brought 100 bags of suppose rice from Afghanistan to India. Now 10 bags he gave to government. Now 90 bags he will send to public. Whatever loss happened to this businessman because of giving the bags to government, will he recover from the customers? The answer is absolutely yes. And that's why what happens is we call this type of tax as indirect tax. Who gave the tax to government? The businessman. But ultimately, who is bearing that burden? Who is suffering? That is the customer. So, indirect tax is a tax on consumption of goods and services. So what is indirect tax? Tell me. It's a tax on consumption of goods and services. Okay. So if you take a service, along with the service payment, you also will pay for some amount of tax. Along with the goods purchase, you will pay some part as tax. Suppose you purchased a mobile phone. On mobile phone, 10,000 rupees mobile phone, 18% GST. So mobile phone is simply the price 10,000 rupees, and GST 18% is what? 18% GST which you are going to pay is the tax. So you will pay to the wholesaler, the shopkeeper, 10,000 plus 18%, that is 180 rupees. Oh, am I right? No? 1,800 rupees. So 10,000 plus 1,800. So 11,800 you will pay to the businessman. Businessman will keep 10,000 in his pocket, the price, and pay 1,800 to the government. So impact who is bearing? Incidence on whom? Understood? Now burden is on the consumer, right? Because consumer paid 11,800, correct? But the payment to government is done by businessman. That is why indirect tax is a tax on consumption of goods and services. So you understood. Now direct tax is a tax on income, indirect tax is a tax on consumption of goods and services. Direct tax example, income tax. Indirect tax example, customs duty, GST. GST I'll discuss in detail, customs duty I'll discuss in detail in the second part. GST is a tax on goods and services. Customs is a tax on import and export of goods. So our Bharat is one country. So if we want to sell goods outside India, or if we buy goods inside India, on that customs duty will be there in detail when the chapter comes. Okay, direct tax examples, tell me. Income tax. Indirect tax examples, can you tell me? Customs duty and, absolutely right, GST. Now direct tax is progressive in nature. Now what do you mean by progressive in nature? Progressive in nature means as your income increases, so your tax payment of income tax, direct tax increases. So as income increase, tax also increase. Income decrease, tax decrease. So as you progress, so you pay to the government. This concept is called as direct tax. Whereas indirect tax don't bother about your income. It simply says you consume goods, you pay for goods, you also pay tax. So it is regressive in nature. Regressive means maybe paying 18% GST is nothing for Ambani, Adani, but for you it may become something big, correct? So that's why there is no differentiation between rich and poor when it comes to indirect tax. And that's why indirect tax is called regressive tax. Indirect tax is a business tax. It is regressive also. No, but no support, right, to poor people. All are treated equally. So poor will feel that additional burden. Direct tax doesn't create inflation. That means prices of goods will not increase if direct tax is imposed. But indirect tax is inflationary in nature. Inflationary means the prices of goods will increase when we levy indirect tax. Okay, so we understood the differences between direct and indirect taxes. Direct tax is difficult to collect. Suppose near to my house, lot of people sell vegetables, toast, right? Mirchi bhaji, right? Pani pudi, so many things they sell. They earn lot of income. But do they pay direct tax, income tax to government? Most of them don't pay. So identifying who are the income earners and collecting from them is very difficult. So direct tax is difficult for collection. Whereas indirect tax, you think, easy to collect. Why? Because government collects it from businessmen, and businessmen can be identified, and that's why indirect tax easy to collect. Now we understood that okay, there are two taxes and we are able to write the answer. This question, difference between direct and indirect, can be asked for 4 marks. Okay, now let's understand constitutional validity of tax. देखो, whatever happens in our country, it should be as per the constitution. Now if you say what is constitution, it is the supreme book, supreme law for our country. So whatever laws happen in our country will be as per the constitution. Whatever happens in our country should be as per the constitution. Even if government tomorrow wants to levy particular tax, it should be authorized by the constitution. Otherwise government cannot levy tax, cannot charge tax, cannot collect tax if constitution did not give the power. But sir, did constitution actually give power? The answer is yes. There is an article 265. It says that no tax can be collected except with the authority of law. So what I said, no tax can be collected except with the authority of law. So there should be a proper law to levy the tax. That's what article 265 says. 245 gives the power to parliament and state legislature to make the laws, right? Now 246 actually we should discuss. 246 says that center and state will have powers to make the laws in relation to certain matters which are given in 3 lists of the schedule 7. 3 lists of schedule 7 means there is a schedule which will give detailed list. Like example, central government is there. So central government will have power to make law in relation to list 1. Central government will have power to make law in relation to list 1. Similarly, state government also has power to make law in relation to list 2. Similarly, list 3, who will have power? Central and state both have power to make laws in relation to list 3. List 3 talks about concurrent list, right? List 1 state list, list 1 union list, list 2 state list, list 3 concurrent list. List 1 union list, list 2 state list, list 3 concurrent list. Concurrent list means what? Where state and center both have the power to make laws. Okay, list 1. What is list 1? Central government has the power to make law. Like example, in list 1, I'll tell you, entry number 82 is given. Entry number 82 says that central government has the power to make law in relation to levy of income tax. So regarding income tax, who can make the law? Central government can make the law. But other than agricultural income. So agricultural income, central government cannot make law. State government only can make law. But all other incomes, central government can make the law. So let's divide incomes into 2 parts. One is agricultural income. Who has the power? State government has the power. All other incomes, central government list 1 has the power to levy tax. Similarly, on import and export of goods, Central government has the power to make the law. So are you able to understand what I said? Right? Similarly, if you think about, state government also have the power to levy taxes on property, like property tax they collect, electricity cess they collect. So state government has powers in list 2. Okay. List 3, state and central both have. Like education is there, forests are there. These are covered in list 3. Concurrent list. Education, forest are covered in list 3. Concurrent list. Who has the power? Both have the power. But if suppose there is a conflict, that center's power is more or state's power is more. So to remove the conflict, they simply said Article 254 applies. What is Article 254? It simply says that in case of conflict between center and state, central government has the power to make the law. And center's law will be prevalent, dominating. So like in, if you see CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, Central Board for Education, Schooling, SSC, State Secondary Certificate Education, so it is state related board. So education both can make the laws. But whose law will dominate? Center's law will dominate. Who said? Article 254. Now here in direct tax, I did not cover constitutional provisions in detail. Slightly I kept in on the limited side. Why? Because in GST we have discussed in much more detail. So that's why there we'll discuss in detail. Okay. Now let's come to administration. Administration wise, central government is there. Under central government, money management करने के लिए कौन? Ministry of Finance. Who will take care of money, finance? Ministry of Finance. Now tell me, I'll ask a simple question to you. Who is the finance minister of our country? Bolo. Nirmala Sitharamanji. She is our finance minister. Wonderful finance minister our government has got. Under the Ministry of Finance, there is Department of Revenue. Department of Revenue, it actually takes care of government incomes. Okay, revenue for government is taxes only, no? Others are also there, but still taxes play a major role. Under Department of Revenue, there are two different boards. One is Central Board of Direct Taxes, which we will discuss in this chapter in detail. Central Board of Direct Taxes. And second one is Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs. So CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, will take care of income tax, and CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs, will take care of our GST, our customs, which we will discuss in indirect tax lectures. So we understood administrative setup for taxation is first Government of India comes, under that Ministry of Finance, under that Department of Revenue, under that two boards, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs. Next question comes. Okay sir, we understood administration. But how the laws are made in relation to direct tax? For that, we should actually refer the sources. Sources are the ways from where we actually bring the law. So there are 5 different sources and all together are law. You cannot say that this one part is law and that one is not. All 5 together will become the law. Okay. So let's start with the discussion. First thing is Income Tax Act 1961. So first source is what? Income Tax Act 1961. Now whenever you study a new law, it starts with something called as section 1. If you study a new law, it starts with what? Section 1. Section 1 talks about short title, extent and commencement. Short title, extent and commencement. What are these three? Short title says this law is called as Income Tax Act 1961. Commencement says it came into force from 1st April 1962. Came into force from which date? 1st April 1962. And extent says applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir, including POK. Yes, including POK. Right? If you would have seen latest government initiatives, the assembly seats are allocated for POK also. And very less time is left. You will see the good news that POK is a part of India. कब्जा खत्म होने वाला है. Right? Now, Income Tax Act 1961. Second thing, section 1 talks about short title, extent, commencement. Short title says this law is called as Income Tax Act 1961. Commencement says commenced from 1st April 1962. The extent applicable to whole of India, including POK. Very good. Now, what are the 4 points to remember? What Income Tax Act talks about? It talks about determination of your taxable income. So you may have many incomes, but all incomes are taxable? May not be. Like example, agricultural income is not taxable. Many a times, if you earn income by exporting the goods, it is not taxable. So what is your taxable income? To determine that, this Income Tax Act will make the law. Now, if taxable income is determined, is it enough? No, we have to also determine the tax liability. So how much tax you have to pay, that has to be identified. For that, determination of tax liability. So determination of taxable income, determination of tax payable. Okay, very good. Now we'll do all that computations in the first chapter itself, don't worry, and more detailed calculations in further chapters. Okay, come to the third point. So first point says determination of taxable income. Second point says determination of tax liability. Third point says that it talks about the powers of AAPP. APPA. What are the powers? Assessment, appeals, penalties, prosecution. Now, देखो, you earn income. You cannot randomly pay tax, correct? It is determined through proper law. Now, when you pay the tax, you have to document all your income details. That documentation of all the income details and checking of that documents all form part of assessment. Right? In your school, when you write the paper, then only teacher will assess and give marks, correct? Same way, you will give your income details, tax payment details, right? You check whether everything is correct or not. If you check, it is self-assessment. If income tax officer check, then there are many other names for it, which we'll discuss in other chapters. So assessment of your income and tax is done as per the Income Tax Act 1961. Appeals, if suppose income tax department is asking you to pay some unfair amount of tax, then you can challenge it in the court, right? Because India is a democracy, and in democracy everybody has the right to speech and present his version, correct? And that's what appeals is. And if you do something wrong, then obviously penalty should be there, prosecution through court will be there, correct? So all that details are discussed in Income Tax Act. And now, to do all these things, to administer all these things, there should be some department. That department is called as Income Tax Department. For that, there should be some people who have authority. So we call income tax authorities. But if they are just authorities, is it enough? The answer is no. They should have certain powers, they should have some rights, some duties. So all that are again discussed in this Income Tax Act 1961 only. So again I am telling, Income Tax Act 1961 came into force from 1st April 1962 and applicable to whole of India. It talks about determination of taxable income, determination of tax payable. Then the third thing they speak about APPA, assessment, appeals, penalties and prosecution, and rights and duties, powers of income tax authorities. That's done. Now, what is annual amendments? The second point. Annual. Annual means yearly. Amendments means changes. So yearly changes are covered in annual amendments. Now, देखो, you see Income Tax Act 1961. If suppose some law is made in 1961, can it cover the current situation? In 1961, nobody would have imagined that food will be delivered to your home through Swiggy or Zomato. Nobody would have thought that you can have a mobile phone in which you can book Ola and Uber. Nobody thought that there can be some business like Amazon, Flipkart, correct? Nobody thought that you will scan and make the payments on to a vegetable vendor with such ease. Even presently, the whole globe is shocked when the ministers of France, the ministers of America come to India, and then they go to all that vegetable vendors. They ask QR code, hi, hi na sabji. Then they make the payment, and the big smile on their face. Wow, yaar, this is too much. This is so wonderful, right? Till so many years, we Indians always thought, अरे अमेरिका कितना ग्रेट है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया कितना ग्रेट है, यूके कितना वंडरफुल है, सो नाइस यार, क्या लाइफस्टाइल है. Now the situations are changing. They are also feeling the same about India. Be proud to be an Bharatiya. Okay, shallow. Let's continue. So determination of income, determination of taxable income, determination of tax liability, right? All that we discussed. Now annual amendments. But nobody imagined that this many types of businesses can be there. But changes happened. So to adopt the changes and collect tax from all such businesses, government has to change the law from time to time. And that's why these annual amendments come. Now you may tell, sir, when will this come? This comes in union budget. When this comes? In the union budget. In the union budget, part B talks about Finance Act. Part B talks about what? The Finance Bill, the Finance Act. And here the changes to income tax, the changes to customs, the changes to GST happens. Now I will ask you a simple question. Which Finance Act applies for your exams? The answer is Finance Act 2023. Okay, for your exams, which Finance Act applicable? Finance Act 2023. Of course, Finance Act 2023, whatever changes are made there in on 1st Feb 2023, that will be applicable for 24 exams. Whatever changes will be made on 1st Feb 2024, that will be applicable for 2025 exams. Are you clear? Very good. Now, how the Finance Act is brought? First, they prepare the draft. They take suggestions from expert, industry expert, academicians, right? Employee community, trade unions. They take suggestions from everybody and consider all the thoughts and government revenue also in mind, obviously, right? And finally prepare a draft. The draft is presented in the parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and when it is presented in the Lok Sabha and if it is approved in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha should pass it within a limited time, right? I feel it's 14 days. Rajya Sabha don't have much to do in this. They have to just approve. Lok Sabha pass, that's it. Rajya Sabha formality. Then President will sign, and once President signs this bill and it is published in e-gazette website, it becomes a law. Now, this Finance Act will become the law. That means this will be embodied into the Income Tax Act 1961. That means, I'll simply tell you. When you are born, you are very small, law. Now you are growing, right? Correct? You are eating something, you are growing. Same way, Income Tax Act will eat this Finance Act and become big, right? So, Finance Act will become a part of Income Tax Act 1961. Finance Act will delete something from income tax, will add something to Income Tax Act, or change some things or alter some things in Income Tax Act. Okay, clear. Now suppose on 1st April, if the Finance Act is not approved, suppose I'll tell you Finance Act 2023 is applicable for your exams. Now, Finance Act 2023 is applicable for your exams. But this Finance Act will be useful for financial year 2023-24. That means 1st April 2023 to 31st March 2024. For this year, that all Finance Act 2023 applicable. Now, I said, suppose 1st February 2023, the finance bill was not presented in parliament. Due to some problems, it did not happen. They presented it, they approved it, everything is going great. For example, I am telling. Okay. Now, if suppose it is presented in the parliament, or not ready, not drafted, not presented, presented but not approved, all these things happen. And 1st April 2023 came. What to do? The government says that either the old Finance Act or the proposed finance bill. What I said? Old Finance Act, then existing law, or the new proposed bill. Whichever is beneficial to the taxpayer. Whichever is beneficial to the taxpayer. That will be applicable. Whatever is beneficial to taxpayer, that will be applicable. So here government did not bring the law as per the time, correct? So that's why the taxpayer should be benefited. So either the existing law or the new finance bill, whichever is beneficial to taxpayer, that will be applicable. Clear? Now we discussed 2 points in sources of law. First one, Income Tax Act 1961. Second one, Income Tax Act 1961, first one. Annual amendments, second one. Third one is income tax rules. Okay. Income tax rules are covered in which section? Tell me. अरे कभी कभी स्क्रीन देख के भी बोल सकते हो यार, कुछ नहीं होता, राइट? तो सेक्शन 295. Section 295 says that income tax rules can be made by the CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. Central Board of Direct Taxes can make the income tax rules, and they will notify it, publish it in the official gazette, and that becomes a law. Okay, this is what happens. Now what is rules? Income Tax Act will say what to do. Income Tax Act will say what to do. Income Tax Act will say what to do. Okay, clear to all of you? Very good. Now Income Tax Act will say what to do, but income tax rules will say, income tax rules 1962 will say how to do. Clear? Huh? ఏం కదులుతలేదు? స్టాప్ చేసేరాదు. Now the next point is income tax rules. Now section 295 has given the power to Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now who will look after the whole income tax law, its administration? The top body is Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now section 295 empowers the Central Board of Direct Taxes to create rules, make rules for effective administration of Income Tax Act. Now I'll tell you, Income Tax Act will tell what to do. Okay, it will tell what to do, but how to do, what should be the step-by-step procedure? Who will tell? The income tax rules will tell. So in which year, when it came? Income tax rules 1962 came. Now I'll ask you a very simple question. Income Tax Act is 1961. Income tax rules are 1962. Why there is a difference? The reason for difference is the Income Tax Act is written in the language of assessment year. Okay, when Income Tax Act says year, it means assessment year. Now I did not discuss with you what is assessment year, so how will you understand? Okay, so there are two concepts actually. One is previous year and second one is assessment year. I'll discuss about both the things in just few minutes, but as of now the language is written in the assessment year language, and that's why income tax rules is 1 year forward. Okay, this much if you remember regarding rules, it's enough. So section 295 empowers CBDT to make rules in relation to income tax, right, rules, and that power is given to Central Board of Direct Taxes. How they will do? By notification in the official gazette. Now many of the students don't understand what is notification. Notification is simply a communication. Notification is what? Communication. How it will communicate? Through official gazette. How will government talk? Right? Through the website called as e-gazette. If something is written in e-gazette, you should assume that government has spoken it. And how will they write? And how will they tell people? By notification, publishing it in the website. Okay, right. This you understood. Now come to the fourth point, circulars and clarifications. Now the law is very big. Income Tax Act, Albert Einstein said, toughest subject, correct? So when it is tough and there is huge amount of information, there is always a chance that there will be some confusion. Like I'll tell you that when government decided to tax the cryptocurrency, and they brought some sections. So everybody was confused that it is taxable here, there, where. So government has to bring some clarification. We understand in this way. The Central Board of Direct Taxes issues such clarifications. Okay. Under which sections circulars can be issued? Section 119. Which section? 119 talks about circulars. Now income tax rules 295 section. Okay. Circulars to 119. Circulars 119. Now I'll simply tell you, circulars are also important for administrative convenience. If suppose two different people brought same type of case which is totally new to the income tax department. Now when it is new, can the department treat both the cases in a different way? It would be unfair, correct? So what the CBDT understands that okay, these are the two unique cases which we are observing. Let us treat these cases in a particular way. They will issue a notification in the name of circular. And this is how all the income tax officers will follow that circular and treat all such unique cases in a common way. Otherwise somebody will be treated fairly, somebody unfairly. This should not happen, correct? So for administration, for treating a particular case in a particular way, circulars are important. But I will ask you, are income tax officers bound by the circulars? Are they required to really follow the circulars? The answer is absolutely yes. Income tax officers are bound by the circulars. They have to follow, right? CBDT is their boss, and whatever boss says, it's always right. But are the income tax payers or the courts like High Court, Supreme Court, or we can say there is a fast track court for income tax, and that is ITAT, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. So ITAT, right, Supreme Court, High Court, or even the taxpayer, do they need to follow? The answer is not at all a compulsion. So it is optional for them. Taxpayer will simply say, Array, if the circular is beneficial to me, I'll follow that circular. Otherwise, I will challenge it. Of course, if CBDT said something, will you just blindly follow? If you don't like it, if it is unfair, you can challenge it in the court. So income taxpayer has that power. Okay. So circulars and clarifications, what should you remember? It is discussed in section 119. It says CBDT can issue circulars and clarifications. Why they will issue? To bring uniformity of action in each case. Is income tax officer bound by the circulars? Yes. Is taxpayer bound by the circular? No. But can taxpayer utilize the benefits of circular? Yes. Are the High Court, Supreme Court, ITAT bound by the circular? No. This way you should remember. Now come to the judgments, judicial decisions. The fifth point. The fifth point, judicial decisions, 5 things we'll discuss. First, Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the top court in our country. मालूम है ना? Yes. The top court, the apex court in our country is Supreme Court. Now, whatever Supreme Court gives the judgment, it becomes the law for the whole country. For our Bharat, it will become the law. Now, okay. But sometimes Supreme Court also has different opinions. Because judges are changing, right? One judge will say something, another judge will say something. Lot of confusion, sir. If Supreme Court says two things, what to follow? I will tell you. You should see that the judgment may be contrary, but how many judges were sitting on the bench? If suppose there are 3 bench judgment and there is a 5 bench judgment, then which judgment will prevail? What is more powerful, 3 or 5? Tell me. 5 bench judgment is more powerful, correct? And that's why the judgment of 5 bench Supreme Court judge bench is applicable, right? That should be followed. But sir, here 5 bench judges give one judgment, and similarly another 5 bench judges give another judgment. Now you tell what is valid. Oh, 5 equal. What to do? I'll tell you the answer. Whatever is the latest judgment of Supreme Court is there now, right? Out of these, both cannot come on same day, right? On the similar matters. So some would have come first, some would have come later. So whatever latest judgment is there, that will be applicable, that will become the law. So what I said till now, I said judicial decisions. Supreme Court is the apex court, number one court, top court in our country. Whatever it says, it becomes the law for the whole country. But if there is a conflict between court judgment, Supreme Court judgment, then we have to see the bench size. If bench size is higher, that judgment will prevail. But if suppose two judgments are contrary to each other and bench size is also same, then latest judgment should be considered. Then what about the next one? High Court. Yes, High Court gives judgment that is applicable to that respective state. Sir, what about other states? The other state high courts are not bound to follow it. So there is no compulsion on other state high courts, but they can take it as reference. अरे वो बाजू वाला ऐसा बोला, ठीक ही होगा, right? Are you able to understand? My neighbor high court said something like this. Maybe he is right. So such reference the courts can take, but one high court judgment is not binding on other high courts. Okay, very good. Now similarly ITAT also. ITAT is Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, fast track court for income tax cases. Okay, and High Court is always above the ITAT. Supreme Court is above all the courts. Clear? Very good. Now we understood about circulars and clarifications also. Judgments of Supreme Court, judicial decisions also we understood. Now I said till now there are 5 sources. First one, Income Tax Act 1961. Second one, annual amendments through Finance Act. Third one, I said that there is something called as Income Tax Rules 1962. Fourth one, circulars and clarifications. Fifth one, judicial pronouncements. Very good. This way you have to understand each and everything. Okay, right. Now let's go to the next story. 5 things are super clear to you. Now what is the basis of charge? Okay, yaar, Article 265 gave the power that no tax can be levied except with the authority of law. So there should be proper law drafted through the parliament. But in the law, there should be some power, right? And that power to collect income tax is given through this section 4. And what is the section's name? Basis of charge. Some call it as charging section. Some call it as basic principles for charging income tax. Anyhow, I kept it simple, sweet, basis of charge. Section 4. It says, now for you it is difficult, but still, can I explain you it in a very easy way? It simply says you earn income in year 1 and for that you give the documents and pay taxes in year 2. Similarly, you again earn income in the year 2, for that you pay taxes and file documents, returns, we call it as in income tax, in year 3. Similarly, in year 3 you earn income, and in year 4 you will file the documents and pay taxes. Are you able to understand? So the year in which you earn income is previous year, and the next year is assessment year. Okay, so whatever you earn income in the previous year, for that you have to pay taxes in the assessment year. That's the first basis of charge under section 4. Okay, you earned income in the previous year, you pay taxes in the assessment year, that's perfectly fine. But can we understand with our exam perspective? For our exams, assessment year 24-25 comes. What assessment year? 24-25. And what comes before 24-25? Sir, 24-25 financial year se pehle? Yes, that's what I am asking. That means the financial year 24-25 is there. That is assessment year for our exams. Absolutely yes. And whatever year comes before that is your previous year. Okay, 23-24 is previous year. Okay, so you earn income in 23-24. For that you file the returns, submit documents to income tax department, pay final taxes, all in the 24-25, that is assessment year. Okay, second point, basis of charge section 4 we are discussing. But how much tax should be paid? For that, point number 2 gives clarification. Taxes are mentioned in the Finance Act because government has to take care of its revenue, its money. So how much money government wants, accordingly government will change the tax system. Right? If government wants more money, they'll increase the tax rates. Government says no problem, if we don't get more money, people should do business earning more, so government may even decrease the taxes. So it's their choice based on government's targets. Government will simply say some areas we don't want taxes, some areas we want less taxes, some areas we want heavy taxes. Right? Somebody is into lottery, betting, gambling, luxury segment. Government says बहुत कमा रहा भाई, थोड़ा ज़्यादा पैसे चाहिए. Right? So this way government decides. So that's why every year the government can take a decision. So Finance Act, in the schedules they will tell what are the rates of tax. Okay, different tax rates are mentioned in the Finance Act itself. But there are some items of income on which tax rates are mentioned in the Income Tax Act itself. Now I'll tell you, suppose you are a stock market investor from America, UK, Japan. You want to invest in India. Now if every year government changes the tax rate, you don't know in which year they will increase, correct? So you may not be interested in investing in our Bharat, correct? So in that case, government said, don't worry, every year will not change. We'll keep some items in the Income Tax Act itself and the rates will not change normally. Then the investor said, okay. So that's why when short-term capital gain under 111A, now you may be shocked, but don't worry. This is a small section 111A. It says that if you are earning from stock market, you need to pay 15% tax only. But your period should be short term. Suppose there is another section called as 112A. It says simply pay 10% tax. If you invest for long term, period and you earn some money out of it, only 10% you pay, 112A. Okay. Similarly, you invest money in lottery, betting, gambling. Then government says, बहुत कमा रहा है यार, I don't want to encourage this. So government says, please pay 30% tax. Right? Are you able to understand? So these rates are mentioned in the Income Tax Act itself. So second point says, generally tax rates are mentioned in the Finance Act, which is issued every year. But some areas government said will mention it in income tax itself. Similarly, third point says about advance tax, about tax deducted at source, tax collected at source. All these we'll discuss in the further chapters. Okay, because it will become complicated for you if I teach here itself. Just remember the keywords: advance tax hai, tax deducted at source, tax collected at source. Relating to this also, government gives the power, government gets the power from charging section 4. Okay, done. Now come to the next topic, that is your assessment year, section 2 clause 9. What it says? It simply says assessment year is a period of 12 months. Assessment year is a period of 12 months starting from 1st April and ending with 31st March of the next year. Starting from 1st April, ending with 31st March of the next year. For our exams, 24-25 is the assessment year. So it will start with 1st April 2024 and end with 31st March 2025. Clear? It is basically the year in which we submit the documents of our income. Can I use the word return for it? Return is that document which will show your incomes, your expenditures, your tax details, all documented properly in the name of return. Correct? And then whatever payment of taxes are to be done, that also is done in assessment year itself. Okay. So assessment year is a period of 12 months starting from 1st April ending with next year's 31st March, and here we submit the documents of income, pay the taxes and close. That's it. But then you may ask, sir, what is previous year? That's discussed in section 3. Let's discuss now. Previous year is the year which precedes the assessment year. That means if assessment year is 24-25, what is previous year? Obviously, whatever is before that, 23-24. So your previous year is 23-24 for exams. Okay, very good. Now I'll tell you one important thing, that suppose your previous year is 23-24. So you will say 1st April 2023 to 31st March 2024 is the previous year. But we also need to determine that if you are starting a new business, नया business start कर दिया, what is your previous year? Suppose you started a new source of income, what is your previous year? Question comes, correct? So the answer to both the questions are same. Generally previous year is from 1st April to 31st March of next year. But your previous year, if you have started new source of business, new business, then the day when you started the business till the next 31st March. The day when you started the business till the next 31st March. And second thing, if you have started a new source of income, maybe salary, maybe house rent income, then the day when you started earning the new income, that is new source, till the next 31st March. As simple as that. Okay. But this is all for the first year itself. From next year onwards, it is always 12 months. Clear? Very good. I started my job on October 1st. So October 1st to 31st March of next year is the previous year for me. But after that, I'll work for 12 months, right? So it will be 12 months only. Job थोड़ी छोड़ दोगे. It will continue, right? So your previous year will be 12 months only. Once you started a business, first year you started on some date, till next 31st March you continued. But next previous year will be 12 months only, because business will go on, go on, go on. Correct? Very good. Now, there are some 5 points which I have to discuss with you. Generally, there is a confusion between students. What is calendar year? What is financial year? What is assessment year? What is previous year? Fatafat, I'll clarify. Calendar year, everybody knows. Happy New Year, yes or no? It comes na? So, calendar year is 1st January to 31st December. Okay. What is financial year? 1st April to next year's 31st March. Their accounts are maintained basically. Okay. But what is previous year assessment year? Just discussed now. Okay. Assessment year also starts from 1st April to next year's 31st March. Here, income tax return, document, payment, all are done. And what is previous year? Immediately before the assessment year. For our exams, 23-24 is previous year. 24-25 assessment year. Clear? Very good. Generally, you earn income in the previous year, and for that you pay taxes in the assessment year. Generally, what will happen? You earn income in the previous year but pay taxes in the assessment year. That means simply next year. But some cases, government says, sorry, we will not wait till next year. Ab bhi chahiye. So, some exceptions are inserted. Suppose I'll tell you, there is section 172, non-resident shipping business. Now, when the non-resident ship, UK ship came to India, it earned some income from India. It will go. Now, you cannot say next year you paid the tax. Will you be able to find them? Not possible. So, government says, if you are into non-resident shipping business, UK based shipping companies, Australia based shipping companies, America based shipping companies, they come to India, earn income, immediately government collect the tax. That means for non-resident shipping companies or businesses, the previous year itself becomes the assessment year. Are you able to understand? Now, what is the general norm? 2023-24 is the previous year, 24-25 is the assessment year. But for non-resident shipping business, if 23-24 is the previous year, 23-24 itself will become the assessment year. And same with point number 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Very good. Come to the second point, 174. If suppose a person left India permanently for employment, now do you feel he will come back to India and pay the tax in the next year? Government says, okay, did you get permanent visa? Arre wow, very good. Then first to pay the taxes, settle all the government dues, then only you can go out of India. Arre, customs officers will stop you. They'll not even allow you to get into the aeroplane till you completely pay the taxes. Okay. So that's how government catch actually. Now, देखो, there are two visas. एक travel visa and second one is permanent visa. If you are on a travel visa, go. Anyhow, you have to come. No option. Okay. And second one is permanent visa. Permanent visa, if it is given to anybody, then government believes that he is not going to come. So under section 174, he is a person leaving India permanently for employment. Here employment includes business also or any other purpose also. Government says whatever your tax kundali is there, we'll check. If everything is paid, then you will be given the visa, you will be allowed to go out. Otherwise, stay in India. Okay. So for such people, their previous year itself becomes the assessment year. Come to 174A. Association of persons or body of individuals created for temporary purpose. Now let me give practical examples. Like Ram Navami comes in the month of April. So there are lot of Ram Leela, right? Lot of Ram Leela type of groups created. They conduct a lot of Ram Leelas, programs, stage shows, dance programs, natak, all that. Such a wonderful, awesome experience it is. And then they create the group, they earn the income. Once it's over, they close the group. What does this mean? This Ram Leela association is for a temporary purpose. Government says under section 174A, please pay the taxes immediately. Government says will not wait for the next year because your entity is going to close down. Okay. So before closing down, all tax settlements are done. 174A done. Now 175. Suppose there are people who transfer property, sell the property to avoid taxes. Sorry, sale is wrong, transfer is right. Right? So government says if you are trying to avoid taxes and for that you are transferring the property, government will catch you and will try to recover the tax on such asset. Suppose example, I have nearly 4 buildings. I am getting rent from all the 4 buildings. Now I have to pay a lot of taxes. So what I did, I transferred one to this relative, that relative, or that friend, this friend, and I am enjoying the income in cash and simply trying to avoid the taxes. So if somebody does like this, transfers the property to avoid a tax, section 175 comes and says, Babu, boliye na, you have to pay tax on the entire income. Okay? And government will not even wait for the next year. Your previous year itself becomes your assessment year. Okay. 176. 176 is discontinued business. Income of discontinued business. Here government gave little freedom. I'll discuss about it in detail. Suppose if Ambani is closing some business. Now will government say that you first pay the tax then only close? Government says, Arey yaar, he is Ambani yaar, we believe him. Let him play in the next year, no problem. But if suppose some Ellaya, Mallaya, Pullaya is there, he is closing the business. Government don't trust that he will pay next year. So government says you pay tax in the immediately when you are closing the business. That means your previous year itself will become your assessment year. Are you able to understand? So it is a discretionary section. 176 is a discretionary section. Discretionary means optional. Discretionary means optional section. So if government wants, income tax officer want to use this section, they'll ask the businessman who is discontinuing his business to pay tax immediately in the previous year itself. Or if income tax officer is confident, he can wait for the assessment year also. So what did you understand? There are generally you earn income in previous year, you pay tax in assessment year. But in these 5 cases, section 172, 174, 174A, 175, 176, what did you remember? That in the previous year you earn income and your assessment year is nothing but your previous year itself. Suppose somebody is going to Australia for job, right? Our 2023-24 is previous year, correct? So somebody is going to job for America on 1st October 2023. Government will say, okay boss, no problem, but pay taxes and go. So 23-24 is the previous year, and 23-24 itself becomes the assessment year for such persons leaving India. Which section? 174. So I feel we covered lot of section, lot of content. We'll meet in the next lecture and discuss lot of topics like person, SSE, and you will really cherish the lectures. Share this with your friends also, that such classes are there in English language, that too covering entire CMA content only. So take the advantage of it. Thank you so much for your patient listening.